If you desire to have a better position in the saddle and you're having unequal weight in your seat and you want to improve that, you have some sort of crookedness, collapsingness, we are going to explore that today, and I'm going to help you understand why that exists and what we're going to do about it. I had a client about a year ago step into my facility. She struggled with a collapsing of the side and sitting off to the saddle, the side of the saddle. And she had unequal weight in her seat, and she noticed this, and she would tell me that she had these lists of stretches that she was doing, and the tightness that she was feeling in her body would just come back, and the collapsing would continue to happen. She would have some temporary relief sometime, but this continued to be an issue. We come to find out she actually had some weakness in her muscles that were not allowing her pelvis to do what it needed to do in order to get the correct position. So fast forward a year later, she's been working, she's improved her ability to use the muscles that were weak and then strengthen those, so that way when she goes and sits on the saddle, she is a lot more centered without having to do things to try to prepare her or make an adjustment in her body before she gets on the horse. She is just now improving her ability to straighten and have more symmetry in the muscles that control her pelvis. We got a pelvis today, that help her sit more straight in the saddle. So if this sounds familiar, you're going to want to stay tuned. But before I dive right into it, I have a very exciting announcement, and that announcement is that I am going to be releasing something next week and the following week. So I work with riders in person in my facility, and then I work with riders online through a 3 to 4 month program that helps just rebuild and strengthen them. But I am going to be introducing something right in the middle, which is a 3-day intensive that is going to help riders improve their ability to control their body, be able to have more symmetrical control while they're in the saddle. And so we're going to look at these imbalances and issues that they have in their pelvis, in their spine, in their hips, and we are going to talk about why that exists and understand your very specific limitations, and then be able to give you some exercises that you're going to be doing, and you're going to be riding better in 4, 5, 6, 7 days. Most people, it doesn't take long. So if you are wanting more information and haven't got that information yet, I will send that to you. Just leave me a comment down below, and that's the next 2 weeks, a 3-day intensive where we are going to explore this stuff so that way you can understand your own issues of what I'm speaking to today and start improving that. So let's dive right into it. What causes us to be crooked and have uneven weight in the saddle? Now, I just started to mention it, but it comes from weakness, muscle weakness specifically. So in order to move or get you in the saddle, you have all these muscles that are connected to your pelvis that are going to move you side to side, rotate you, move you forward, move you back. Now, if you have muscles on one side of your body, let's just say the muscles that pull your pelvis up and down, this lateral side to side, if you have muscles on one side of your body that are stronger than muscles on the other side of your body, it is going to constantly be pulling your pelvis up, while this one is not as strong, not allowing it to also do its job of keeping the pelvis up, and that can cause imbalances. So when we try to do any specific motion or get a position in the saddle, it requires us to be able to contract and use our muscles specifically when we need to. And unfortunately, we don't have access or an equal amount of strength through all these muscles in our body, because throughout our lifetime, we've maybe had some injuries. We maybe have a job that we overuse muscles. I know that just because of driving alone, it causes you to constantly use more muscles than others. So if you drive a lot, if you're sitting down a lot at a desk where you are using a mouse, that is going to ask your body to use specific muscles more often than not. Then that means you're going to be ignoring other muscles. And so any kind of injury, any kind of overuse on your muscular system is going to cause your body to compensate and adapt, so that way it can continue to do that thing better or stay away from pain if you've had injuries. And the compensation is great, but over the long term, it can create certain muscles to be stronger and certain muscles to be weaker. So that's not great for you when you're riding, because riding is a very symmetrical based sport. And also it can cause pain, it can cause tightness, all these not fun things in your body along with it. So if this is something that sounds familiar to you and you have any sort of crookedness, or if you have any sort of uneven weight in the saddle, I want you to let me know down below in the comments, and I'm going to go over those ways that we could be crooked. And it typically falls into 4 categories. So if you fall into one of these categories, let me know in the comments below which one that is. My biggest one is rotation. I fractured my back years ago and caused me some massive issues, and I'm actually kind of stuck in a rotation over the side. So I had tons of compensations that I had to work through and still continue to work through. But let's bring in our friend, the pelvis. So the pelvis can do 4 different types of range of motion, and they're dictated by muscles not only in the pelvis, but muscles that attach to the spine. So any muscles that attach to the spine, hips, pelvis can influence the movement here. But what it can do is it can rotate, it can laterally bend side to side, and then it can flex forward and extend back. So those are the 4 ranges of motion. Now, typically, what I see in riders is 2 limitations, one being more popular than the other. And the first one is this lateral moving, right? So moving side to side. So if I'm also kind of bending at my torso, it's going to potentially move my pelvis. But this is going to be the one where we see a collapse in a side, or one that's causing you to sit off to the saddle, or one that's causing unequal weight in the saddle while you're sitting, because if I'm kind of tilted to the side, it's going to put more pressure on one side than the other. So when looking at this pelvis, the muscles that control this lateral side to side actually connect all through here on the back side of the pelvis, and then there's going to be some that connect to the front side of the pelvis as well. But your really good side benders, that's what we'll call them, side benders, connect to the back side of the pelvis, and they attach all the way up through the spine. They're going to attach to the spine, to the rib cage, to the back of the neck, the top of your head, the bottom of your head, skull there. And what they do is they can laterally bend your spine, or they can laterally bend your pelvis. So what happens, it's like, I want you to imagine if I had 2 bands here, and this pelvis is a little puppet, and when I pull on the string, the pelvis comes up with it. Same thing on this side. When I pull up the string, the pelvis comes up on this side. So what happens if you are collapsed and weak? The muscles on one side struggle to be the, I don't know the name for a puppeteer, the person that's in charge of the puppet. The muscles can't contract and do their job as well on one side that they do on the other side. So over time, that's going to create a pelvis that's slightly stuck in a tilt. And so anytime you get on your horse and sit on the horse, you've got this natural tilt here. And that's going to immediately put more weight on one side than the other. And your initial reaction may be, ooh, I've got to compensate for that by leaning towards the other side. But when in reality, what we're really looking to do is take that other side, the side right here that's down, and we're trying to strengthen the muscles that help pull it up. So that way we can have a more even weight in our seat. So it's not necessarily going to be I've got to lean over there, but it's the muscles that are weaker on the side that we need to strengthen so they can do their job and pull up. Same thing goes with a rotation. So most people are also stuck in some sort of little rotation here, and you have muscles that rotate you, and most of the time you're going to be stronger in one side of rotation, again, based off of either some sort of injury or what you do all the time. Again, if I am sitting at a desk a lot or I'm driving a lot, I have to rotate my spine slightly to do that. And doing that for 20, 30, 40, 50 years over time is going to create these compensations that make you stronger in one side or the other. And when you sit on your horse, guess what? Those compensations are coming with you. So what does that mean? Again, if either one of these, let me know too. I went over those 4 ranges of motion. Do you struggle with being stuck kind of in a rotation? You notice that one side of your pelvis is slightly forward than the other, or if you are collapsed, one side of your pelvis is higher than the other. We also have one where your pelvis can be kind of tilted up or tilted down. So if that's you, again, let me know in the comments below. And if this is any of your students or any of your friends that you've noticed this in, make sure to do me a favor and share this link with them. And you can also just write their name down if you don't feel like sharing it on your page, but I greatly appreciate that. And so we mentioned that our pelvis, we can have unequal weight or be crooked because we lack the ability to have equal strength in our muscles to hold the positions that we need and desire. So what do we do to help improve this? Now, a typical approach is, well, I'm going to stretch the tight stuff so that way it loosens up and it creates symmetry. But if we are approaching this from a, hey, we have weak muscles that are not doing their job, and that's the reason why we are stuck in a position or can't do a thing, because remember, muscles contract and move you. So you should be able to contract and move and get yourself into a position of symmetry. So if we're looking at it as we need to improve the strength of these muscles and our ability to control these muscles, meaning my brain needs to be able to send the signal to those muscles, contract to hold the position, then what we need to do is start improving that communication and strengthening that communication so that way we can have equal control of the position and the muscles that get us into the position that we need and give the aids that we need. So again, stretching is going to temporarily take away that sensation of tightness or pain. It's gonna tell your neuromuscular system to stop being tight, and it's gonna feel probably pretty good, almost like an itch on yourself. But that is gonna be a temporary thing, hence why you have to continue to stretch, as opposed to creating more strength in your ability to communicate and use those muscles, which will over time decrease the tightness. Therefore, no need to stretch. And now you've got the connection and strength to muscles more evenly, meaning when you just sit on the horse, you're going to be in a better position because you've got more symmetrical strength through your body. So the first thing that we need to do is understand your limitations. Then we need to strengthen the weak stuff. And this first approach to strength is going to be improving our ability to use these muscles that we have compensated around for a while. So improving the connection to those muscles, and then we're going to strengthen those muscles once we start getting them to work better. So I explained in the beginning of this video, if you missed it, that I am doing a 3-day intensive course, an event, the next 2 weeks. So I'm going to do one next week, and then I'm going to do one the following week, where I help you understand this more in depth and help you understand your specific limitations, things, weaknesses you may have in your body, as well as being able to help you with specific exercises to improve these weaknesses and help you get better position in the saddle, help you get better control, help you have less tightness, get better, clear aids, all of the above. So that way you can get started on this. And most people notice a difference in 3, 4, 5 days. So if you missed that, go back to the beginning of this video and leave me a comment below if you want more information on that. But that's what we need to do. We need to be able to start improving the strength in the muscles that are weak, so that way you can have a better position on your horse. So if this is something that hit home with you, let me know below. I would also love to hear any ideas you have for further topics when I come on here on Fridays. And what topic would you like to see next? Do you want me to bring in a pelvis? Do you want me to bring in a whole skeleton? Do you want me to bring in a horse? Let me know what you want to see. I hope this was able to help you today understand a little bit more why you have issues with your position in the saddle, why there's a lack of ability to be symmetrical, what's causing that. I hope you have a great day. Enjoy. Grab a coffee. I just love coffee in the morning. Have a good one.
Thank you so much for watching this video. If you want to continue to become the best rider you can be for as long as possible, make sure you subscribe to my channel. I'm going to continue to put out videos and allowing you to get the most out of your body so you can get the most out of your horse.